Hey y'all, and welcome to Politibrawl. My name is Brian, and Kellyanne Conway goes on an epic rant, and she forces Democrat hacks like Van Jones to just sit there and take it. This is something they really need to hear. Let's dive in.
This election was also about moments that Donald Trump has this sense of the cultural. He beats Kamala Harris to Georgia and North Carolina, where people are in pain, where everything that they've had and loved ones have been washed away literally, and Kamala Harris in San Francisco at a fundraiser. So people see this. They know what they see, they know what they hear, and I think the big distinction in this last election, two I'll say quickly. One was the Democrats would have won if they got away with convincing Americans to believe what the Democrats told them was real and true and authentic, rather than what they saw with their own eyes and heard with their own ears, what was real and true and authentic. Everything from a sitting president's obvious mental and physical lack of acuity, agility, ability. And this is the election where Americans are saying, no more. You are not going to pigeonhole and narrowcast me and tell me what to think, for whom to vote, and how to feel based on my age, my gender, my race, my sexual orientation, my religion, my political party registration, my past voting behavior. And whether it's Ann Seltzer's phony poll or phony focus groups of junk saying that Kamala Harris is going to win, attacking people like Kevin McCarthy, thank you so much for having the courage in 2022, you and President Trump, and the RNC, to have run these candidates in California and New York, because without that, we would not have had the majority in the House of Representatives. You had the courage to go into blue states and go into purple districts and do that. I think they misread the mandate, Maggie, in 2022 of the midterm. A lot of those terrible candidates fell short. They should have. They weren't great candidates. But the Republicans won 3 million more of the popular vote than the Democrats. They misread a mandate for Joe Biden, who wasn't even invited on the campaign trail. They sent out Barack Obama, not Joe Biden, to campaign for candidates. So you've got to, we have to level set with the public and stop pretending that these counties didn't flip. And last point, every state.
How many last points you gonna do?
I got this. Well, they're all good ones.
They are great.
I'm not here spinning. They're really great
They're
points,
excellent.
and I'm not
That's
here
Van Jones.
spinning and pretending that this election. A lot of this conversation, respectfully, sounds like the election didn't happen yet. We've talked about the same stuff over and over again. The fact is this. I said it a year ago. I'll say it again because it was just raised. The Democratic Party right now, every day they wake up, it's still January 6, 2021 on the calendar. They get an electric vehicle. They get an abortion. You're out of touch with the public. This election was a rejection of wokeness, and people, every state went more red except Nebraska and Washington State. That is a sweep. That is a mandate. That is President Trump coming into office and the American people saying, please make my life safer, more secure, more affordable. Please get us out of these foreign engagements. And I think the always wrong, never Trumpers, who had unlimited money, cost the Democratic Party, which they say they're not even a member, another presidential election.
Kellyanne Conway, you hit the nail on the head. Thank you, ma'am. And if you actually go back and listen to what Van Jones had to say, he was agreeing with her. And remember, Van Jones had that huge expose done on him by Glenn Beck back in like 2012 or so, or maybe even earlier than that. Oh yeah, it was earlier than that because Glenn Beck came to Fox in 2009. And so my history with Van Jones is growing up, understanding that this man is a dyed-in-the-wool communist, but no, he's a bit of a realist. He's not going to go out there and spew a bunch of garbage. I actually like Van Jones. He'll do it from time to time, but he does have enough integrity, particularly on these panels, because there he's finally free of CNN's shackles and their producers, and he's able to say what he actually thinks. So that's one of the great things about getting away from the mainstream media, which Kellyanne Conway got 100% correct. They still think that that's that one cold day in January where a bunch of protesters showed up at the Capitol and Nancy Pelosi failed to do her job. And so they've been waving that bloody shirt, and truth be told, no one cares. And the reasons why the average American doesn't care about that day is because nothing consequential happened. Nothing changed. The mob did nothing to change the course of what was going into practice, okay? The only person that could have made that change, ironically enough, was Mike Pence himself, whose own line of logic, and I'm just explaining it here, his own line of logic was, we don't have all the evidence yet. Yes, everything about this election seems fishy, but I am not going to vote to overturn this. I don't think that's going to set a good precedent for our country. And now we have Trump in his second term 4 years later. And funnily enough, there was a Time magazine article in early 2021, might have been late 2020, no, early 2021, that basically outlined of how this cabal of media influencers, sports networks, and other media conglomerates all work together to fix the election. They quite literally, in that article, and it's a big one, say that they saved democracy. Well, the reality is the American people took one whiff of that and realized we've made a mistake. And they corrected that mistake in 2024, and rightly so. And that was a costly mistake for some people, and Kellyanne Conway is one of the real ones because her ex-husband, who is so bitter about Trump taking the reins from traditional conservatives, whatever that means, and ultimately it cost her her marriage, all because of her stubborn husband that refused to realize that, oh, maybe the old Bush ways aren't the ways that we need to be moving forward. And the American people are on board with that idea because George W. Bush, his original vision for his administration was supposed to be domestic. It was supposed to be fixing the final problems and then reworking the issues that came with Lyndon Baines Johnson's Great Society. And instead, it got derailed when some terrorists decided to do something really stupid in New York City, and it ultimately created the War on Terror, which got bungled because some dumb CIA dude in Iraq took over and outlawed everyone in the Ba'ath Party, which was a stupid idea. That's not how you rebuild a nation. We've done this before, by the way. We did it in Germany, we did it in Japan, we technically did it in South Korea, and then after that we just lost the ability. I think we've had a brain drain in our military, and that's a big reason why I want Trump to go in there, be a wrecking ball, and get people with actual vision, with a reform mindset to fix the governmental problems. There's a reason why there's a Pete Hegseth book right behind me in these videos. Furthermore, then there's the whole idea of Americans understanding that Trump represented an actual return, not to normalcy, perhaps, but a return to some actual wealth and prosperity. We had this very briefly during the first Trump administration when he and Paul Ryan sat down and worked on a brilliant tax cut plan. And then the Democrats, once they got in power in 2020, refused to extend those tax cuts, further making the post-pandemic economy just another malaise, just like Barack Obama's economy. Now, Obama was smart enough to keep the Bush tax cuts, but he didn't do anything else other than expand the wars, refuse to get Europe to do anything about their border problems, particularly with Russia. Funny what ended up happening in 2014 under Barack Obama's tutelage. And then he also refused to cut back any of the other spending problems or go off of the playbook that George W. Bush wanted to implement in his first term. And since you think that they're all buddies with each other, Michelle Obama has known the Bushes for decades. You'd think that Barack Obama would bother implementing it, but no, he's a Democrat with a whole bunch of communist ties. Of course he wasn't going to back off and start cutting spending, because that's just not what they do. Donald Trump's election was the American repudiation of the status quo, and furthermore, it was a repudiation of Democrat control. Americans, the average American, is smart enough to know that their dollar doesn't stretch as far as it used to. And they know that under Trump, things were getting a whole lot better. And this time, there's been an unusual precedent set for this election. Donald Trump is now pushing for 78 million votes. He got 77 million. Kamala Harris barely got 74. This is unusual in Democrat politics, and I'm talking Democrat as in the Democrat Party, not the democratic process. The Democrats have had pretty much a iron grip on the Electoral College and the popular vote since Bill Clinton's third way politics swept the nation. That's sort of the reality the Republicans have barely been able to tap into. But now there's hope because minority voters, particularly black men and Latinos, are realizing that the Republican policies of, we actually believe in you, we're going to cut taxes and give you a chance to earn more money, to start your businesses, and to stay a productive member of society, instead of the Democrat Party that wants to infantilize you, give you a subsidy that doesn't work, and then they're going to wonder why people are choosing the party that says, we believe in you. That's been the Trump message. And Kamala Harris couldn't tap into that. That's why the people of Florida, Georgia, North Carolina took Helene to the face. Oh, and South Carolina, they got hit pretty hard too. We don't talk about them as much. They got hit by this flooding, and Kamala Harris couldn't even crawl out of her cave to show up and talk to these people. Probably a good idea, because it would not have gone over well. Maybe her handlers were smart on that one. But Donald Trump and J.D. Vance did. And J.D. Vance was a huge help for that, since he's an Appalachian boy. So yeah, that's what leadership looks like. That's what got tapped into in the 2024 election. It's not just the podcast presidency here. It's a bunch of people around America, rural, suburban, and even urban areas, realizing that Democrat-run policies that are lax on crime, higher in taxes, and don't really promote any of the economic benefits that they talk about, it's time that the American people start realizing that the Democrats simply can't govern. It's really just that simple, and I think even Van Jones knows it, and I know for a fact Kellyanne Conway understands it, because she absolutely nailed it here in this panel. Folks, my name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed that segment here on Politibrawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one, and until then, y'all have a good one.